So Hailey, on February 26th, you're releasing Living the Dream, which is obviously a deluxe edition of an absolutely outstanding album you released last year called The Dream. I know you co-produced the album with your boyfriend, Jake, and I've been really keen to ask you, what's it been like to self-release an album, watch it take off, find an audience at this point worldwide, and then, see it on all these critics' year-end best of lists as well?
It's been so cool. I mean, the whole, I think having that moment before we made the record of just feeling so low and so brokenhearted by the business and just just kind of done with it and just struggling to find, am I supposed to be doing this? I think hitting that rock bottom kind of thing has made all of the stuff that you were just saying feel so much more encouraging, knowing where it started. And I started this record with Jake, it was kind of our last ditch attempt at trying to get something going. And it was the bar that we had set for making this record was, let's just make something we believe in and something that, feels true to me, feels true to my story. And if this is the last record that I get to make in Nashville, if nothing happens with it, we'll just move home knowing that we did our best and that we made something that we believed in. And that was the only bar for us. And then to get to see all of these things that have happened, it ended up being kind of the exact opposite. And it's been the most encouraging thing to me to see, all of these things result from the response of that record. And it just has been also just very validating spiritually, I think, in the sense of it's important to do what you believe in, and it's important to do, things that matter to you. I was really questioning, what's the point of all this, and I think that that's been more than anything just a sign of just stay true to what you do, stay true to what you believe in, do that, and everything else will come, and that's been probably the biggest takeaway for me throughout this whole release and getting to see all of this happen.
When you're in such a competitive place like Nashville, and you kind of in a way maybe have answered this question, but when you're surrounded by that white noise of success there seems very much driven by trends and sometimes gimmicks, and certainly obviously radio play, streaming numbers, sometimes just how many social media followers somebody has. How do you block that all out and then just, make an album that sort of speaks your truth, and at the same time, did you just reach the point where you wanted to make it and get it out there, or did you have faith that there would be an audience that would connect with it?
I didn't know. I think exactly what you said. It's so hard. I struggle with it even now. I was taking label meetings with labels in town, and they would just reject me, but then they'd go sign some Instagram influencer who just decided they wanted to do country music. And it was really hard and really discouraging to see that. I was someone who'd spent the last 10 years trying to just write great songs and trying to build a fan base. And it was hard to see how dispensable that was, and it just made me, really down on the business. You know what I mean? That wasn't why I came to town. I came to town because I loved country music and I wanted to write great country songs and I wanted to hear great country songs on the radio, and to all of a sudden be easily, pushed out the door by someone who had more Instagram followers or something. It was really bizarre to me. And I think that was also when I just decided look, if that's what you want, that's not me, and I kind of hit my fuck it point, as I like to say. And I was just spending a lot of time tuning that out. I was sitting in my backyard with my chickens, barefoot in the grass, just trying to think on great songs and putting great songs on this record and just trying to make a great record. And it's hard. It's really hard to tune out the noise, but I think sometimes you just have to, keep your chin up and keep your nose down and just keep going and focus on you and what makes you great and what you want to say. And you can't get distracted by all the rest of it, you know?
I want to ask you about this incredible collaboration you've got at the minute with Little Big Town, filling my cup. I know you co-wrote the song with Nicole Gallion and Hilary Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a bit, you know, it's obviously got that kind of traditional, almost like the sound John Party's become famous for. Tell me a bit about sort of how the song came together, would you?
Yeah, well, we wrote that, I think it's been a year now since we wrote that song. And I had that title. First of all, Hillary and Nicole are just incredible, like great songwriters, top of my list for just people, dream co-writes, you know, and this was the first time that we were all getting together in the same room and writing a song. And I had that title in my phone, Filling My Cup, and I just threw it out there. I was throwing out a bunch of titles, and that was one that they latched onto. And Nicole had the idea of, what if we like turn this into a recipe, like making a drink or something, and it's like, you know, but all this life stuff. And so we started, you know, writing that. And I remember like getting done with the write, and it wasn't one of those that I think we were all like, this is awesome. It was kind of one of those that we were like, what is this? You know, it was kind of unique and different. And I got home that night and I sat at the kitchen table and I played it for Jake, my producer, fiance, and he was like, we have to record this like this week. And I was like, really? I was not that I like didn't think it was great, but I just like seeing his response so instantly being like, this is great. I was, when it was just like barely even a work tape, I was a little confused, but I just trusted his gut. And we went into the studio and laid it down and put fiddle on it. And it just like instantly had this energy behind it. And it was like fresh and modern, but also still feeling a little bit like an ode to the kind of country music that I was raised on. And it just really came to life in the studio. I mean, I remember playing it for Nicole and Hillary after, and we all three were like, whoa, that is that, you know, like, so it kind of just took on a life of its own in a really cool way. And we were getting ready to do the deluxe, and we were trying to think like, who would be a good collab for this one? And Little Big Town was just a no-brainer. I mean, it sounded like something that they might have put on their record. I knew that their harmonies were going to be magical on it. And there's someone who's a big part of the story for me. I mean, I was waiting tables, and they had a song that I'd written, Happy People. They put it out on their record, The Breaker. And it was, I was saving all those royalty checks that I was getting to fund my record, The Dream. So, you know, very literally, like, they're the reason that I was able to make that record and, you know, be living the dream. So they were kind of a no-brainer on that one.
And you were apparently in a Boston airport whenever you found out that they were going to cut the song.
Yeah, I was. So I had gone up to write with Lori for the first time, and Happy People was the first song we ever wrote. And I was sitting in the airport at my gate getting ready to fly back to Nashville, and my publisher called. I just sent her the work tape, and she instantly, I guess, just sent it to Karen. And she called me, and I was getting ready to board my flight, and she was like, hey, Little Big Town wants to put this on hold. And I was just shocked. I mean, you know, I was just elated. And then it was a song that they took to country radio, and that was a big first to me. I'd never had something at country radio, and so it was a special song in a lot of ways.
Living the Dream also features songs with two guys who I know were amongst the first to take you out on tour. There's a song called The Ride with Jordan Davis, and also Glad to Be Here with one of my favorite singer-songwriters around, Brent Cobb. How significant was the opportunity of getting to open for those guys in your career?
Huge. I mean, I was an independent artist. They literally kept the lights on and the wheels moving. Like, they were helping me pay my band, helping me promote this record. Those tours were massive in me being able to hang up the apron and really commit to doing music full time. Yeah. And I was also just like, I thought it was really badass, you know, for them to take out a no-name female artist to be the opener on their tours. You know, I was really grateful for that and that experience. And they're just two guys that I absolutely adore musically. And so it's the coolest thing when you get to go on tour with someone that, you know, you just admire so much. It's like you play your set and then you go pull up a chair side stage and get to go to a concert every night and hear one of your heroes. So I'm very grateful for them taking me out like that. It literally helped me just pay my bills, pay my band, promote the record, you know.
And, you know, as somebody who was very much turned on to country music through the big female 90s icons, how surreal to record a song with Trisha Yearwood. How far can it go?
It's insane. I mean, I just idolize Trisha Yearwood. Her records are flawless to me. She's someone who had such an ear for picking out just great songs. You know, Walk Away Joe song remembers when. She's in Love with the Boy. I was like 10 when that came out, and that was a song, you know, just with a hairbrush microphone, barefoot in the lawn, you know, performing that song for every family member I could like beg to sit still and watch. You know, like she was a very, very influential voice in you know, on me as a young listener to country radio, and someone who wanted to do this with my life. Like, she was someone that I really, really respected and admired and just was a fan. And I'm just still a diehard Trisha Yearwood fan. And so we asked her, and it was kind of like, I don't know about that. Like, I was kind of preparing myself to be told no, you know, and then we got the phone call, and Jake's, you know, he's on the phone and he gets off and he tells me, and we both just jump up and down screaming. I wish we had it on camera because it was the coolest moment. And it was just so cool. And I got the first mixes after she had put her voice on it. And I was back home in Iowa, and I was driving, you know, those same back roads I used to drive my truck around on in high school, and hear her voice on the radio. And then I intentionally went and drove them again and just played that song with her and me on it. And it was the most bizarre, just like, you know, full circle kind of moment, you know. And I'm just a fan of her. Honestly, I'm just a fan. And it's really cool to get to share this moment with her. It's really special.
You mentioned Iowa there. I know you're originally from a small town called Shoeyville. And, you know, you were the oldest of 6. And growing up, I believe you started playing the guitar around about the age of 14. Were your family, were they, you know, because Nashville's so competitive in country music, were they supportive all the way of you pursuing this career, or were they trying to talk you into getting a normal job?
They've been incredibly supportive. I mean, I think it was really bizarre to them that from such a young age, I knew I wanted to do this. Yeah. And I was pretty dead set on moving to Nashville, no matter what, when I graduated. And it's a little strange because, like, my family's very creative, but no one had ever really taken a shot at trying to like make a career out of a creative job, you know? And so it seems even more wild to me, I think, then that they were like, okay, cool, go try and make money being a country singer, you know. But they really supported it, and more importantly, they never questioned it. Because I think, especially, you know, around that 10-year mark when I was really starting to have some doubts, had they said, yeah, you know, we were wondering, you know, if you were going to come home soon, like, I would have gone, you know, I would have definitely gone. So, you know, they've always just been encouraging, and I grew up, my dad, you know, he started a business, built it from the ground up. My mom has always been incredibly hardworking, raising us kids and everything. And I blame it on my Iowa raising and kind of like being from the Midwest. It's like, nothing's going to be easy. Don't give up, work hard, and it'll pay off mentality. And so I just kept doing that. And luckily they never planted any seeds of doubt in my head. They just were always encouraging.
This question's just popped into my head. You know, when you were talking about like having meetings along the way with record labels in Nashville, there's a lot of I wouldn't name names, but there's certain country artists who come out with a more commercial pop hit. Once they then get an album or two in, they then go down that more artistic and they're able to say what they want to say. Did anybody at any point try to make you go a bit poppier at the beginning?
I think I made myself do that. I mean, there was a period in between Black Sheep and The Dream that I was tired of being told no. And I was being told, you're too country. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to push myself to be really pop then. And if that's what's working on the radio, I'll just try and do that. And I felt like a fish out of water. Like always been this little weird thing where like country, Nashville has been changing, like steering towards pop the whole time I've been here. And I'm always just a little confused because I'm just like, well, I moved here to do country music. If I wanted to do pop, I would have gone to LA. And so it's always been this weird thing where I'm trying to fit in, but also still trying to like stay true to why I came here. And I really went for it. Like there was a period in between Black Sheep and The Dream that I really went for it. And I recorded like 5 songs, and I was taking meetings and I was getting ready to start putting it out. And I think I had 1 meeting and I was like, I cannot sell this. Like, this is just not me. I don't want anyone else to hear this. It just didn't feel true to me. And so I was like, that's kind of when I too had the moment of like, all right, well, you know, if you're going to do this, you need to do it in a way that is authentic to you. And if that doesn't work out, if they still don't want that, then it's just not for you, you know, and go find something else to do. And that was kind of the moment where I was like, I definitely know I'm not pop. So I'm just going to keep writing country songs. I'm going to make a country record. And if they don't like that, then I guess I'm just going to have to go somewhere else. And then I made The Dream. And that was kind of the moment that I made that pivot and just made The Dream.
So when you moved to Nashville at 17 to study at Belmont, at that point, you know, coming out of a small town, were you quite anxious, apprehensive, or at that point were you so, because you knew what you wanted to do, were you more sort of excited by the prospect of independence and adventure?
Oh, absolutely. Like young and dumb. Like, thank God you have dreams when you're young, because you know, you just feel invincible. And I was moving from a small town in Iowa. I was 9 hours away from home. Didn't know a single soul. I didn't know anybody when I moved there. And I was just throwing myself into everything. I mean, ignorance is bliss. I had no idea how the music business worked. I just started knocking on doors, asking people for shows, asking people for co-writes. I literally didn't know anything about it. So I just jumped into it. And I think that was really helpful in a lot of ways. You know, I'd just go asking people on bars on Broadway if I could play shows. And I just would go up to someone I didn't know it after a writer's round and say, I really liked your song. Do you want to write together sometime? And yeah, I really did not know. Nashville was the biggest city that I'd ever been to, you know, and it felt a little like a kid in the candy store. I mean, I was getting to go to I was getting to live into the city of my dreams. And I was also getting to just be a student of country music every night. I was buzzing around every night, Monday through Friday, 5 to 10 p.m., sneaking into any show I could with a fake ID and just studying these songwriters. And so it was really fun for me. It was really fun.
So from arriving to Nashville, there was another 5 years before you landed a publishing deal. Aside from the business side of the music industry in Nashville, the songwriting community is obviously renowned for being so supportive and encouraging. Is that something you encountered? And also, you know, for aspiring singer-songwriters out there, as somebody who's kind of been and done it and lived it, what advice would you give?
What was the first part of that question that you asked me?
I'd said, you know, with it taking 5 years to land a publishing deal, aside from the business end of country music, was the songwriting community, were you embraced? Was there a supportive sort of bubble around you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was Nashville's really cool like that. I mean, you know, I think I was writing songs with a lot of people who were kind of like my peers, who were kind of like starting out with me, you know, and we got to kind of like really get good together, you know, to where we started getting some cuts. And then, I mean, the first song that I had recorded by another artist was a song I'd written by myself. It was a song called Low All Afternoon, and Martina McBride recorded it. And that song opened a lot of doors for me, you know. It was kind of like, okay, my resume, like I wrote this one by myself. You either like it or you don't, you know, I can't blame it on a co-writer. But I think that helped me kind of get into some of those bigger rooms with some of those bigger songwriters, you know. But Nashville's always cool. I mean, and that's why I feel so lucky to get to, like, you know, collaborate with some of these people. It's like Hillary Lindsay or Lori McKenna, you know, Grammy award-winning songwriter of the year, and I didn't even have, you know, much at all on my resume, and she was still willing to write with me, you know what I mean? Just hearing a song of mine. And so I think that's really cool about the songwriting community in Nashville. It's like people just are fans of music, and they're fans of good music, and if they like what you're writing, like, they'll write with you. You know, it doesn't matter if you have a record deal or not, they'll write with you. So I think that was, they were really embracing of me. I mean, I didn't get to write with Lori till I was like 6 years in, you know, and, but they were all really cool and really welcoming. And then what was the second part of that question?
I was going to say, even
talking so much, I'm forgetting. I'm talking way too much.
No, it was what advice, you know, as somebody who's taken the lead, yeah, what advice would you give the aspiring singer-songwriters?
I would say for the singer-songwriters, just like study your favorites, study their catalog, learn, practice all the time. I mean, I write every single day, whether it's actually a song or it's just writing in a journal, you know, just practicing. Don't give up. That's a big thing. I mean, there's times I'm like, dang, girl, you should probably just give up by now, but I just haven't. I've just stuck it out. And I would say find your voice, like find what inspires you and find your story, find what you want to say. Figure out how to say that, figure out what makes you different from everyone else, and just tell your story, you know, and try and tell it the best that you can. Find people like around you that love what you do and just focus on them. You know, I think that there were so many times that I would get really distracted by Nashville. I'd be looking around and like, what's everyone else doing? Who's reacting to that? You know, like, do I need to do more of this so that they'll like me and stuff like that? And no, what I really needed to focus on was just my fans, the people who loved what I did and serving them. You know what I mean? Because that's just what it's all about. And honestly, those are the people that are going to keep you sane, you know, is the people that love what you do, and just focus on them.
You know, I, like many, aside from sort of along the way catching your name on songwriting credits for, as you say, Martina, Alan Jackson, that was I remember that. Whoa. You know, with your voice, I sort of discovered you, like many, with 10-Year Town. And I know, again, you co-wrote it with, I mean, the incredible Brandy Clark. Clearly a song born out of, kind of sums up everything we've been talking about, born out of the frustration you felt at the time it was written. Please tell me, because like genuinely, I'm not like blowing smoke up here, but it is probably one of the best country songs. As somebody who listens to country music 7 days a week, it's one of the best and well-written songs I've heard in 5-10 years.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. God, that's a great compliment. That is awesome. I mean, Brandy's a hero. Like, I think that song is just so raw and real. And, you know, writing that song, it was just very unfiltered, very candid. We were sitting, we gabbed for 3 hours about just kind of life and our journeys in Nashville. And she was one that I really like reserved that title for, because she was someone I got to watch kind of when she like popped in town and stuff. And I knew she'd been here forever, and she's just an incredible talent. And so I saved that idea for her because I knew she would know what it was about, you know. And it was just really candid. I mean, it was like a day of therapy, you know. We started writing that. I threw out that title, and she just spit out the line, I'm 12 years into a 10-year town, and you know, I said too far in to turn around. And it was just like finishing each other's sentences. It was like we just knew what that was about. And we ended up having to break that day because I think she had to be somewhere, and we got back together like a month later. And I was like, again, distracted, and some girl had just come into town, and it just felt like she was cakewalking into like this record deal and radio and all this. And I was just like, damn, like, you know. And she was like, well, let's put that in the second verse. So it was very like real, you know, and we didn't have to think too hard about it. It just kind of fell out. And, you know, we finished it, and I just knew it was special instantly. And anyone I played it, like my kind of close circle of like people that I will send songs to when I finish, you know, they were all like, wow, that's something, you know. And then when we were getting ready to make The Dream, it just felt like where that story started for me. And so it was kind of a no-brainer to put that one on the record and to make it be the first song that people heard when we were deciding to release it. And I think that it literally has been like one of the most like career-changing songs for me. I mean, I put that song out. I had no publicist, no label, no management. I just put it on my Instagram, and that's the song Maren Morris had heard, and then, you know, called and invited me to go out on tour with her. And so I got to quit waiting tables and go on tour, you know. And so it's been just the most career-changing song for me. And just also, you know, just as like a dreamer, like that last song, the last line in the song, this next song could turn it all around. That's like why we're all hanging on, you know. That's why we're all still here. It's that hope, that sliver of hope that the next thing you do will be the one that can change everything for you. And that was definitely, you know, the case for me with 10-Year Town.
Because of the circumstance within your life at the time of writing it, were you ever at any point tempted to just even financially give it to someone like a Miranda Lambert or something? Do you know what I mean?
You know, I don't know if that song ever got pitched. Like, I don't know if I ever said, like, save this for me, but I also don't know if they ever pitched it. I remember one of my publishers being like, don't you think it's a little whiny? And I was like, no. I mean, maybe some could see it that way, you know, but I can't remember if they ever pitched that or if I said, like, hold this one for me. I can't remember, honestly. If it did, no one bid on it. So that's kind of why I started making records anyways. You know what I mean? It was like songs of mine that I felt like no one was cutting. And I was just like, I mean, I think these are good songs. I guess I'll just record them myself, you know?
And what was it like just finally, you know, to get that message or that call from Maren Morris and then get to head out and play some shows with her at that level, that size of audience, those venues? What was that like?
It was bizarre. I mean, the second show we played on that tour was Radio City Music Hall, and it was a Friday night. And the Friday before, I was putting on an apron to go wait tables, and like greasy beignets and shitty beer just stains on my clothes. And, you know, it was a weird thing to then a week later be playing Radio City Music Hall, like in sequins, head to toe in sequins for thousands of people. It was a bizarre difference, you know, and it just like was a really cool thing to get to experience, I think.
Listen, Hailey, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Good luck with Living the Dream again, out February 26th. And don't be a stranger. Hopefully we'll speak again in the future.
Yes, I would love that. Great talking to you.
Cheers. Take it easy. Thank you.